I'm Ba, and you're listening to the Alliance Guys Podcast. Ba, ba, ba. Ba, ba, ba. Hello, I'm Ba, and you're listening to the Alliance Guys Podcast. Ba, ba, ba.
I'm building an alliance.
Will you join us?
It's showtime.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
You're not here, you missing out, because this show...
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, listen up.
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
It's time for the Alliance Guys Podcast.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Alliance Guys Podcast, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. My name is J-Cal. His name is DKM. We are the Alliance Guys, and we're here to talk to you about pro wrestling. Mr. Mercer, how are you this evening, sir?
I'm alive. How are you?
I also am alive, which I'm very excited about. I do appreciate you making time to be with me this evening and joining our friends over the interwebs here on YouTube, on Twitch, and especially our friends over at TikTok. And we're here, and they're supporting us by watching us, so we appreciate that. And I watched Power this week.
Intentionally?
Intentionally. There was actually quite a few good moments and quite a few not so good moments, but we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. We also had some interesting news coming out of the World Wrestling Entertainment that I'll be sure to talk about with you in just a few minutes. The WWE program has a lot of questions that haven't been answered, but there's been some movement and some activity happening, and I would like to get your takes on that as well. Plus, there has been some interesting news coming out of your state of Texas with regards to All Elite Wrestling and how some of that payouts are working. There's some interesting stuff going on there, and I'm sure we'll talk about it. Also, I saw that in your neck of the woods. Now, it's not a Iconic Heroes of Wrestling event. It is a show that I saw that is featuring the NWA Midwest champion, Dante Casanova. And he's going to be in the ring with, the most marketable Richard Holiday. And first and foremost, I have to say, DK, that's a pretty big match. Is that something that would get you to go to a wrestling show out there in Fort Worth?
In Fort Worth, maybe.
It's in Fort Worth. It's at your old stomping grounds, I won't pronounce it correctly, the Ridgela Theater?
Yeah, that's pretty close, yeah. Is that for Dragon Slayer?
Yeah. I saw that just before the podcast started, and I thought, well, that's pretty cool, man. Look, I'm not, of course, when we talk about Texas pro wrestling, we're always going to talk about the iconic heroes of wrestling excellence. We're always going to talk about what's happening with NWA, whether it be Texas or Dog Pound Championship Wrestling. But it's just interesting to have note that a NWA regional champion will be in Texas against the most marketable, probably one of the hottest free agents in pro wrestling right now, Richard Holiday.
We let Richard Holiday out?
What do you mean?
I wasn't expecting him in Texas, that's all.
Oh. Yeah, it's kind of a weird landing spot for both of those guys, right? Because, Dante Casanova, your NWA Midwest champion, a product of Exodus Pro Wrestling, that's based in Cleveland, Ohio. That's a long stretch from Ohio to Texas. And Richard Holiday, I mean, I know he works in a lot of places, but still it's interesting to see that it's a random matchup in a random location. And, who's going to win? The fans. The fans in attendance will win. Willie Bowen has a tyrus joke of the week. He gave me several different takes, so I'm gonna use the middle one because I think I like this one the best. What does a tyrus and an illiterate mule have in common? Both are dumb arses. I don't. It made me laugh. That was the better read, I think. I like that one.
I like that one.
You liked it too. Good. Shout out to our boy Double D in the chat. Thank you, Kevin, for being here. Thank you, Willie, for being here. Noob's in the chat. How are you doing? Noob's got to be pretty excited. He got to see his lady wrestle, and she was on commentary this week. So, with Natalia, I almost called her Cardona. That's not right. Natalia Markova. Sorry, I didn't mean to post that one.
If you could see my face right now, you'd be going, "What the?"
What? Okay, we'll get into power. We'll get into power momentarily, but you and I did not talk about the show this week before the show. So, what did you enjoy this week's episode? Did you hate it? Did you somewhere in the middle?
Somewhere in the middle. I thought, oddly, I thought there was some very sloppy in-ring stuff.
Okay. Well, not the main event.
And
so bad. Oh, Wiccan's the best. Thanks, Wiccan. Wiccan just sent me like 20 goats, I guess. Wow. Thank you, Wiccan.
I don't know what that says about you, but okay. It was what it was. We'll just say it like that. And I don't know. I thought there was a lot of sloppiness in the ring this week. I was impressed that I at least recognized who Kenzie Page's opponent was.
Okay.
I couldn't remember her WWE name. I had to look it up, or NXT technically. And I had to look it up, but I at least recognized her when I saw her. I go, oh, yes. I do remember her. She was with Legado del Fantasma, whatever they call themselves. So, and which, strangely enough, that the guy just left. Just left.
Santos.
Yeah, Santos Escobar.
Actually, so he left. His contract expired, and they did not come to a contract agreement. The following day, they did reach an agreement, so he is still with the WWE. I think he turned on AEW and said, yeah, I think we'll stay with the WWE.
That could be. So, well, I don't think anybody's offering the money that they did at one point, trying to, keep people and stuff like that. WWE just has so many. And you always hear, oh, well, they had plans for them. And, they really wanted to keep them. It's like, yeah, if they had plans for them and wanted to keep them, they would have made them an offer to keep them.
Yeah. Look, the thing is, and it's kind of funny, right? Because a lot of the guys that end up getting let go from the WWE, there's not a lot of momentum behind them, right? Like, and I'm not trying to besmirch the name of Santos Escobar, but clearly, I mean, he's not a high priority for them at the moment. Interestingly enough, Karrion Kross, the crowds were chanting his name. They were very much behind and supporting him in the WWE, and when the contract negotiations fell apart, they chanted his name a little bit, but that was it. And he still hasn't been in talks, or at least if you believe what you hear on the podcasts. He did something with Chris Van Vliet, and I guess there's been no formal talks between them and AEW. We know that he's going to be making appearances with MLW. He's been doing stuff with GCW. So it's kind of wild to me, like somebody of that stature, like even the NWA, as far as I know, they haven't checked in on him either. And he would be absolutely one of the guys I would say, yep, give me 6 months. Give me 6 months, come to the NWA. You can work GCW, you can work these other promotions, make NWA your priority, and give us 6 months to see what we could do with you. That's really only like 4 shows. That was funny. I don't care if you didn't laugh.
No, I mean, I agree. You can't see my face, but I'm chuckling.
That's fair.
This whole thing kind of gets me. I've had this question, which is, when is somebody big enough that you can drop them into a title match without necessarily worrying about wins and losses, so to speak? I mean, like we had Cody Rhodes. I mean, nobody was going to question Cody Rhodes going for the thing. I can't remember what name she used. Was it Clarissa?
Carissa Riviera, which I believe is her shoot name, or at least that's what she was going by on the indies before joining the WWE. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing too, because yes, she was in the WWE machine, competing for Evolve and a little bit of NXT, and working matches for the WWE brand. But at the end of the day, like, her wins and losses weren't that great there either. And then dropping her into a title match. Now, I thought she was phenomenal. I want to make sure that's clear, because I'm going to talk about that later. If she is, available to the NWA, I hope that they will use her more, because she was really good in the ring. But why would we put her into a title match? She hasn't done anything to earn it. And as far as the NWA is concerned, she didn't exist until she stepped in the ring with Kenzie Page. So why is she getting a title match?
Yeah, she would. I mean, they did bring up her WWE past.
Okay. I guess I didn't hear that, but.
Well, they must have, because I think they said who she was or whatever. And then when I saw her, I go, oh. Or no, maybe I saw her and said, oh, yeah, she's from whatever. And then they told me who she was or something. Or that she was in NXT, and I figured it out or looked it up or whatever. And but they made reference to it. But she primarily was a valet. I wouldn't even call her a manager. Okay. I know valet is not a politically correct term in the world today for a female wrestler. But that's, she was just kind of like the female member of the group that primarily hung around outside the ring and would wrestle occasionally.
Yeah, yeah.
And B-Fab and left, because I'm not saying she's a great wrestler, but she's certainly not
And then you cut off.
better than. Sorry to all the B-Fab.
You kind of cut off a bit, but I think I understood what you were saying. Yeah, and as I looked up her history with the WWE shortly after I watched Power, like she made her debut. Her first WWE match was under her name Carissa Rivera back in 2018 for the Black and Yellow NXT brand. She also showed up on a SmackDown, again prior to signing with the WWE, as part of the Brooklyn Bells, and they lost to the Iconics for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match. But then
I remember the Brooklyn Bells.
That's amazing because I have no recollection of that.
Well, the only reason I remember it was because the Iconics were doing like this gimmick of facing only the best or whatever. And so they were supposedly like the New England Tag Team Champions or, some weird, crazy made up thing.
Sure.
I mean, it was totally made up by the Iconics, but they were selling them as, just one of the top teams.
Sure.
In the world. Everybody knew they were. And so that's the only reason I remember them. And I happen to love the Iconics. So
sure. Why wouldn't you? But as it stands, like she really didn't get into the NXT program until about 2021. She wrestled against Frankie Monet. She lost to she beat BFAB. Was part of the NXT 2.0, had wrestled for WWE 205 Live, wrestled for the NXT Level Up, that show that they had, I believe that was on the network. And then obviously spent a lot of time during the 2.0 era of NXT. Then had victories over Sol Ruca and Indy Hartwell and a few others. Competed in the WWE NXT 20 Women Battle Royal. Teamed up with Lola Vice on occasion. Had appeared on Main Event in a losing effort to Dana Brooke. Again, a lot of time at the Level Up, a lot of time with NXT, and then started becoming a regular for Main Event in 23. Basically losing to Gigi Dolan, Natalia, and Indy Hartwell. And then was a part of Raw and Elimination Chamber in 2024, part of the qualifying matches. That was right here in Anaheim, my backyard. And then appeared on SmackDown, defeating Zelina Vega, that's huge. Then she lost to Kairi Sane on an episode of Speed in the title tournament. And she lost to Tiffany Stratton and Naomi during the U.S. title tournament back in 2024. I'm assuming her contract ended about that time. But I think it was, being in the WWE program, I think ultimately makes a talent better. I think learning the ropes, the WWE way, it makes you more marketable. A lot of times it gives those talents in that program, even if they never make it to the WWE, they have time being produced and they have time working in front of a camera. And these are intangibles that are hard to learn on the independents. Plus, you kind of learn how to market. You kind of see the business aspect of pro wrestling. And I feel like all of these are good things when you're trying to, establish yourself, especially when your WWE time comes to an end. And so all that to say, I really think Carissa Rivera would be an asset to the NWA. She has a great look. Her in-ring ability was pretty solid. I mean, she didn't get any promo time, but considering the fact that she was in the WWE machine, I would imagine that she had to learn something, right?
I would hope so.
Dave Scooby says maybe she won a number one contenders match in Rio. Yeah. Hey, why not?
Or maybe in Puerto Rico. Or maybe in New York.
Rico, or in New York.
Possibly Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Real quick.
Or choose the consequences, New Mexico.
Jaden, tell me a little bit about Carissa Rivera, because I know that it wasn't like a long time, but she did make an appearance for Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators a couple years ago.
Yeah, she managed Lance Anoa'i. She was originally trained by Samu and the Samoans. She was a product of WXW. She later got trained by, why can't I think of his name now? The same trainer, Ray Jazz, and a few others who have got prominence. And she also did a little bit of time at the Monster Factory. So she's done a lot of stuff around. She's been around the wrestling business. She's also a second-generation wrestler. Her father was Steve King, who wasn't prominent in the in the continental United States, but wasn't well known in Puerto Rico, and did work for the WWE for a short time. And her mom is a politician and a really nice lady. Not like a prominent one, but like, a low-level politician in, I believe, I want to say North Jersey. Maybe I'm wrong. It's either North Jersey or New York, somewhere in that range. But for some reason, North Jersey sticks in my head. But again, very nice lady. And her father's been around people like Andre the Giant and Adrian Adonis, and I'm trying to think of other people I've seen him in the ring with. He's been in the ring and been around some of the biggest stars in the business during right before and right at the beginning of the peak of WWF and Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan and all that era. So she is well versed in her family history. She is very smartly, very talented, has a marketable look. Her ring gear, ironically, I think of all her ring gear, she wore the one that had the least amount of color to it. So that should say something right there. And she is I think if the NWA decides to use her, I think she would be a welcome addition to the NWA. She has some history. She turned out to be a good wrestler. You don't see it a lot in like the WWE or even when she was in NXT, but she did turn out to be a very good wrestler. She was more known to be a manager, but she could definitely perform in that squared circle, as you saw on Power, which I did watch this week.
Yeah, and we'll get a little bit more to her later in the show, but I was very pleasantly surprised about her. But it was interesting how this conversation went because I really wanted to talk about Zeta Steel. Are you guys familiar with Zeta Steel?
I know.
I'm assuming from the silence that means no. Zeta Steel is was a WWE ID talent, one of the first females that was announced as part of this whole WWE ID program. And, the same program with Jordan Oasis, the same program with Jack Cartwheel, the same group with Zara Sakar or Kylie Ray. There was a lot of names that were picked up for this program. And she's one of the first talents to say, hey, I appreciate my time with the WWE. I've learned a lot in the short amount of time that I've been there, but I'm not going to renew my contract when it expires. Now she's been on Evolve. She's worked represented the WWE while working with GCW. She was part of the WWE ID Women's Title Tournament that took place in Las Vegas before WrestleMania this year. She also was part of a three-way match at the WWE ID Showcase in Rutherford, New Jersey, with GCW. In fact, believe it or not, they even sent her along with Noor, Phoenix, Diana, and Kylie Ray to Malaysia to do a number one contenders match for the WWE ID title, which was just in August. They just did that just a few months ago. So she's been a big part of what they've been doing. I mean, maybe not a big part, maybe that's an overstatement, but an active part of what they've been doing. And, outside of the WWE, she's still been working quite regularly. Like her most recent match was against Janelle Kai and Maya World in New Jersey for ETU. She recently appeared at Booker T's Reality of Wrestling. She's been around, so it's not like she stopped working and is retiring from the business. She's really been continuing to grow. She's only 21 years old and has decided to not continue her time with the WWE. And I'm just kind of curious as to, Jaden, you've been involved with the industry for a very long time, producing wrestling events in association with Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators and various other promotions. DKM is getting into the promotion business. So I'm curious as to you guys, why would a talent decide to not wrestle for the WWE and go a different route? I mean, what conclusion would you jump to?
Part of it, I think, is I'm going to name another wrestler you might have heard of who did something similar. Believe it or not, again, you might have heard of him. It's called AJ Styles.
Yes,
He made a similar investment in his career. Sometimes you see a path, and it might be, in your eyes, the better road taken to get where you need to go.
Sure.
She just might see that her trajectory going through the ID and the WWE developmental will only bring her so far. And she may be a better success and a better signing for the WWE later, taking her own path to that than the path laid out in front of her.
That's a very fair assessment. Sure. I guess I put myself in their shoes, right? I'm trying to be empathetic. Pro wrestling, especially on the independent level, doesn't pay a lot of money unless your name is like Matt Cardona. You don't make more money on the indies than you do in the WWE. Is it possible that they just don't pay a lot in the ID program? It's not enough to justify.
They don't at all, which is why we're supplementing it on the indies is great. And if she learned something, if she got better, it's still a win for her one way or another. Whether she decides, to go to the WWE, she might look at something else like Stardom. She might think that might be her better route. She might see AEW. She just might decide she wants to be an independent person, likes wrestling, but doesn't like it enough to go to become a full-time professional wrestler for the WWE, might like a lighter schedule. So there might be other reasons you have to think about too, that you don't know about her personal life, her family life. Sometimes she may have to take care of a family member. There's a lot that people don't always put out there. And again, just because you're not taking a straight route to a destination, the scenic route sometimes still has its benefits. And often the road less traveled is the road that's best taken. I'm a philosopher now.
I'm a philosopher. Well, I'm assuming ID doesn't pay much at all, because one of the ladies that just left NXT said that basically she was just offered like the same contract and was under $80,000 a year, which for some people may sound like a lot, but when you remember they're independent contractors, so they pay both sides of the Social Security tax. They pay, they pay their own travel. They pay their own hotels, blah, blah, blah. That's not a lot of money. And so I would assume ID, which is on a lower level, would pay less than that. I also saw where Kylie Ray's out of the program. She had to vacate the ID title. And
there's a specific reason for that. Are you aware?
She's pregnant. So
with a child.
Well, I hope with a child. But I'm assuming, pregnant with a child, kind of like Naomi. So she had to vacate the title, but she also announced today, as a matter of fact, that her ID contract was expired and would not be renewed.
Oh, okay. Well, and like I said, one door closes and another one opens up. Willie says WWE doesn't make or break pro wrestling. Yes and no, Willie. I mean, I get it. You're not a fan of the WWE. Totally understand that. But at the same time, there's two places to make big money in the United States, and that's either with the WWE or with AEW. And if your skills are marketable enough to demand that high salary that AEW will pay you, then sure, that's where you go. Or if the WWE is going to pay you the most, that's where you go. I mean, that's kind of like capitalism 101. You go where the money's at, right? But to me, it's just, especially in this economy, it's hard for me to take the idea of stepping away from any paid gig. That's kind of unheard of. But that's my own insecurities and my own philosophy. I'm not out there trying to make a living doing pro wrestling.
There's also such thing as betting on yourself.
Sure.
And you don't always win that bet. It is sometimes a gamble. That's why it's called betting. But I know for a fact in my past, I stepped away from a better paying job to take a lower one that ended up good. And I've also done the same thing where I've taken a job that was paid well and stepped down to something else that was paying well, but then it ended up not paying me at all.
Yeah.
So you got to take those risks sometimes. But if it wasn't for those risks, I don't know if Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators will be here for Dr. Zirconium. He took a lot of risk.
Yeah.
And I'm sure.
With you.
Yeah. I'm the best investment he's ever made. Then we'll add the fact that I know DK is taking a risk with IHWE, because anytime you're taking being a promoter, you're taking a risk. So you have to bet on yourself sometimes.
That's fair. And again, it's something I just saw today, and I thought I'd be interesting to at least discuss with you two gentlemen about that. If you're okay with it, we can move on to Power, because we were kind of stalling to talk about Power until you got here, Jaden. You had said that just
because I watch it doesn't mean we have to talk about it.
Son of a gun. You literally said, I've got opinions. So we literally dragged our feet to get into it. But
I do have opinion, but I was going to tell him whether you were done talking about him or not.
I'm going to go ahead and just say it. Like, the NWA is very close to being a wrestling promotion that I would be very happy with. It's very close. There's a few things that are stopping it from being the promotion I want it to be. And I understand that Billy Corgan is not promoting those 3 letters for J-Cal. That's not the case. It's not promoting these 3 letters for Jaden or for DKM. And honestly, it's not for you guys in the chat. It's for one audience member, and that's himself. He is promoting the NWA in a way that he wants the NWA to be. And he hopes we all like it, but if we don't, we can kick rocks. That's, at least from the surface, that's kind of what I get from him. So this episode, I feel like, was another step in the right direction, especially after last week where I felt like there was a misstep. But there was a lot of stuff on the show I didn't care for either. But we'll go take it line by line, and I'll ask your guys' opinions on the matches and the promos, and we'll try to get through this as quickly as possible. But the first match of the night started off with Markova taking on Kelsey Heather. They said returning Kelsey Heather. I don't really recall her first time in the NWA. But again, we're talking about women in the NWA. We always say that they need more. There's not enough solid female wrestlers on the regular NWA roster. This Kelsey Heather really impressed me. And it's also kind of like, I think the NWA goes 50-50 booking too frequently, too much. And this match was I feel like this match was kind of like that. Now, this Kelsey Heather was very good in the ring, and she surprised me. But this was basically a tune-up match for Markova for the 77th anniversary show. I felt like she should have just beat the crap out of this chick. And instead, they're doing splits, slapping each other in the face like it's the slap show, slap fighting on Dana White's pocket. But it was a good match, and I was really surprised how much offense Kelsey got in. I was even more surprised how she was able to recover from that deadly missile dropkick. We've seen her put away, Tiffany Nieves. Markova has put away Tiffany Nieves with that missile dropkick, and Kelsey Heather was able to survive that. But what she couldn't overcome was the beautiful destruction, followed by that double DDT combo. I really like this match. I really hope we see more of Kelsey Heather in the future. But I really felt like Markova should have just won very quickly and cleanly and had not taken as much offense for Heather. DK, I'll go with you first. What did you think about this?
This was the first match, but it established something for me that seemed to run throughout the show, which was there was some sloppiness in it.
Okay.
And I found a lot of the in-ring action this week, there was some sloppiness to it. I agree with your premise that this should have been a match to highlight Markova, not show that Kelsey was somebody who deserved to be in the ring with her. So, and like you, I don't remember her before, so I don't know if it's good to bring up the fact that somebody's returning if I don't remember them. Because it means they never made an impression on me.
That's
so
true.
Yeah, I mean, it should have favored Markova more. It seemed a little bit longer, I think, than it really was, because I think it only went about 6.5 minutes. And a little bit pitchy, dog. A little bit pitchy. Speaking of dog,
a good segue. Jade, what were your thoughts?
I actually disagree. There's not enough women wrestlers in the NWA to begin with, let alone women wrestlers out there. Even in the glory days of professional wrestling, there was very few squash matches for women wrestlers when they would feature them, because they were exactly it. They were featured attractions. She is larger in height, I believe, than Markova. I think Markova might have her beat in the superior pectoral development and other assets, but otherwise, she is a little bit larger. She's larger than Markova. She's got some strength looking to her. She's not a skinny girl. No. She's got the right kind of thickness, like with 3 C's, that makes it really nice. And she looks healthy too. She's a healthy looking girl.
Yeah.
That said, though, all the seriously aside, though, she looked like somebody that they could build around. And this match with Markova could be a beginning of something for her. Also, Markova wasn't acting as serious or aggressive in this match at all. So she had no right to dominate, because she wasn't dominating. She was acting like she had to do the fancy stuff in the splits. She was more worried about getting her spots in and everything like that than actually looking like somebody who's dominant. So she had no right to dominate that match.
Okay.
Whose fault is that? Is that just Markova or whoever's agenting or producing the match? Did they bear some responsibility?
All the above, honestly. And it's the same thing for men wrestlers, too. I've seen guys who are selling for guys 3/4 of their size when it's supposed to be like a squash match. And at least there's a lot more guys out there in wrestling that can be considered something in the future. And there's a lot of guys in wrestling that just can't. They're just literally there to get their ass kicked. And then the problem is the wrestlers decide they want to have a good match, not want to have what's good for the business. And that's the same I do think for Markova. But I don't think it should have been a straight up squash, because this woman was too large, too athletic, has a good look, has good looking gear, looks like football gear, has an actual background. If it was going to be a squash, she wasn't the right person to squash.
I think that's a good point, too. I agree with that. I think maybe somebody else could have filled that role. And all that to say, like, I hope she comes back. I thought she was great, and I want to see more of her. But go ahead, Jaden. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
That's all right. No, that's pretty much it. Like, if it was supposed to be a squash, it should have been a squash and not the goofy spots that Markova was doing. I thought this was the worst I've seen Markova in a while.
Oh.
Not counting the stupid bloody matches and the hardcore shit that she was doing before. But I mean, her actual wrestling, I thought this was the worst I've seen Markova, because she was more worried about like doing her stuff. Okay, and not really looking like a contender. She was looking like somebody who just wants to get her shit in. And that I did not like either. I think if Markova was going to be dominant, if they needed her to be dominant, which they may have, this was the wrong person to do it, and she wasn't willing to do it anyway.
I mean, I think that's fair criticism. Next up, we get I use the term loosely, a decent promo from Tommy and Hunter. Now, Tommy Henry, you go to Cage Match and you type in Tommy Henry's name and nothing comes up. And I'm not saying that Cage Match is 100% reliable or 100% accurate, but there's nothing. He's a ghost. And apparently he has been a wrestler, And I know that he has been promoting Crossfire Wrestling for many years now, but I didn't know what to expect with this guy. The skits that they have him in on Power have been kind of Well, they haven't been good. And Hunter, who normally is the guy I'm least interested in seeing, actually sounded pretty good in the promo. Although the one thing that he said that kind of caught my attention was he said that the Kazanas stuck their nose in Crossfire business. But if we're going to be honest with ourselves, which is the only way to be is honest, they're the ones that interfered in the beatdown that the Kazanas were giving to the Rewind Society a couple weeks back. So it wasn't that the Kazanas stuck their nose at anything. If anything, Tommy and Hunter stuck their noses in Kazana business. So I don't know. It just kind of felt like that. It felt like a very heel promo from the two guys that were supposed to be baby faces. So in that, I kind of was bothered by that. DK, did you even watch the promo or did you fast forward through it?
No, I watched it because I was curious. From what I know, which isn't much, Tommy Henry's never really been a wrestler. He's been in the ring a few times.
Okay. That would make a lot of sense.
But he's never actually been like a true wrestler.
Got it.
Been told that. If it's wrong, I retract. But as you said, it kind of makes sense. Kind of looks that way. And I find it interesting that he gave over control to the girls, and he's been around more since that happened than.
I never heard of him until they announced that the girls were taking over, and then he showed up on my TV. So maybe that was a trade. Like Billy said, put the girls in charge and I'll put you on TV. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, overall, I guess this started because Papa, whatever his name is there.
Papa Joe Kazana.
Yeah, I know. Kazano was talking, was it Franks? Tyler Franks?
Yeah, Tyler Franks.
He was trying to steal him or something. I don't remember. And the story's been stupid, and since I haven't been watching most of it, it's makes very little sense to me. Again, Billy loves heel versus heel, so I don't know why, but he does. And yeah, it didn't work for me. Jaden?
I didn't watch it, but based on what you told me and things that that you said, I'm glad I didn't. But but that's a problem throughout the entire. I'll talk about it later, where somebody's supposed to be the babyface acts like a heel, and it doesn't make sense. And then somebody who's supposed to be a heel is cheering for a babyface who isn't supposed to be a babyface. And again, that's. The NWA is very inconsistent, and they need to start laying very strict hierarchy on things, have a Bible of things for these announcers and these commentators and what's going on, because it's kind of like when you have like two 14-year-old girls talking about something they just watched on a movie like Buffy the Vampire Slayer or something like that, and they're just going on little cosplaying like they're Buffy, and they're sitting there making these stories up as they're going along, and it's really bad, and it just makes you want to like say STFU. Yeah. That's what is Billy Corgan's idea of running the NWA kind of reminds me of.
Real quick, our friend Chris Henry, no relation, or is he, says that when it comes to Tommy, that he's been utilized more as a deathmatch wrestler, same as his brother Isaac Kane.
So they're not wrestlers; they're garbage. Okay.
And then he goes on to say that he gets the impression that Tommy and his wife are still the real promoters of Crossfire, which I mean that makes a lot of sense too. And then Noob, real quick,
they call them the owners. What they're saying is that Tommy owns it, or not, and the girls run it. So, take that however you want.
And then Noob says, I pretty much agree with you, Jaden. Natalia Markova should have been dominant instead of showing off. And I get it. Her wrestling is these hardcore matches or intergender wrestling, which is dumb. Yeah, I think we could all agree. Like, look, I will never tell you that Markova isn't a tough athlete. I just feel like putting Markova in intergender matches or hardcore matches when she's supposed to be your next women's world champion seems kind of short-sighted and maybe a little ignorant. But let's get to the next point.
Real quick, speaking of ignorant, there's also no Y in Jaden. If you know anybody who named their kid Jaden with their Y, their parents really don't love them.
What if it's a girl? Yeah, I was going to say, that I knew a girl named Jaden.
Yeah, her parents don't love them either.
Wow. Then we get a small...
I was going to say there's only one way to spell it and everybody else is wrong. Go ahead.
Sure. Then we get a Smalls promo, and I kept thinking, like, wait a minute. They did this already, but I guess there's going to be more. They did a Smalls repackage promo. He did say something that made me laugh. He says, mess with Smalls and you get hit in the balls, which that kind of made me laugh. But again, we did this. He got his ass kicked again by Mike Knox and Trevor Murdoch. Do we really need a third time of Murdoch's beating the ever-living piss out of this gentleman? I felt like this was kind of a dumb, and I think the storyline is dumb, but do you guys have any 2 cents you want to add to it?
Yeah, you'd think I would enjoy it, but I just want it done and over with. Somebody's going to get the short end of the stick here.
I just hope it's a real little match, you know? DK, did you have any 2 cents on this, or can we move on?
Please move on.
The segments are painful. I literally wrote that. These segments are painful. We're back in the estate. I don't even know what the whole point of this is. It's just, maybe somebody who's the ever optimist would say, well, just let it play out and see what it is. But it's just the same bullshit. It's stupid. And Idol gets heated because he was disqualified from this estate giveaway. And apparently everyone else is still in, just him. He's the only one that got disqualified. And he got heated because the Henry family wasn't even there to be a part of this. And, and then the lawyer threatens to take Markova out of it. And it was just like, what are we doing, guys? Like, give me May Valentine interviewing somebody and clumsily getting to a really good point or a very interesting topic. This is stupid. This is a waste of time. They paid to be in somebody's house with this bullshit lawyer guy who maybe he's a cheap actor in Tampa. I don't know, but I feel like these are all wasted segments. Someone had to be there to record. Someone had to be there to edit. Someone had to, and I feel like it was more than one camera too, because they kept panning back and forth. They paid to do this. Why? DK, did you fast forward?
You bet I did.
Jaden, did you follow suit?
I didn't watch this, but I'm saying right now it's Glow meets Riverdale, and I think Billy Corgan is mad that he wasn't on CW proper, so he's trying to create his own CW-like product, and it's just so stupid.
Christopher Henry says, is the lawyer supposed to be kayfabe related to Lord James Blears? Maybe. I honestly have no idea about any of this stuff. And Noob says these segments are boring to watch. They're not just boring. I feel like I get mad watching them. It's not that I'm bored. I'm angry.
It's called offensive. That's what I would probably be a more accurate term, or offensive to watch.
That's what I would go with. Boring would imply that it's just, you yawn, you stretch, or whatever. These are like, someone get me a bucket and put it between my legs.
What does a bucket between your legs do?
For when you vomit.
Oh. Well, of course, that makes all the sense in the world. All right, that takes us to the second match of the night. We get JAC taking on Colby Corino. Now, this bothered me because I don't like hyperbole. I hate hyperbole. I hate hyperbole. I don't like it when someone overstates something. It's not true. And I hear the voice of the NWA, Joe Galli, say Jack was on a tour of Japan and he wrestled just about everywhere in Japan. Nay, I say. I looked it up. It was not everywhere. It was for 2 promotions. Technically 1. Marvelous, which is technically like a women's Joshi promotion, has started featuring some men matches, but it's very much an independent. And they did do a show with Pro Wrestling Noah. So technically, you could say that Jack, JAC, which stands for Jason Alexander Carter, he did have multiple appearances in Japan. And he was there for about 2 months, which
was he named after the Seinfeld guy?
What's that?
Is he named after the Seinfeld guy?
I don't know if that was something that was done with intent. His name is Jesse Alexander Carter, and I imagine he goes not Jason, and I imagine he goes by Jesse. I imagine he goes by JAC, so there's no mistaking that he's related to the Carter family, of which EC3 belongs to. Anyways, this was another match that we talked about. When I watch Power, not the signature live events, when I watch Power, I kind of anticipate more squash matches, right? Like I would expect these matches are to make the talent look really good, right? So you have Colby Corino, and this is prior to his injury, obviously. Oh, that's another. I thought I saw that too, Christopher, but I'll point that out. JAC is married to Clara Carter, who's currently the KFW Women's Champion, and Clara Carter has also been appearing for Power. She was part of that tag team that challenged for the titles a couple weeks back. That makes sense. But he is a very big man. He's at least 6'3", and he's kind of a beast. And he was in the ring with Colby Corino, who we know is geared towards the heavyweight wrestlers, but in reality is probably still a junior heavyweight in terms of his actual size. And, we're coming off of Colby Corino having a very disappointing opportunity at the Crockett Cup, did not win the world title, was put in the ring with Rhino, put in the ring with Tom Latimer, and did not win the world title. So this is kind of like a rebound match for him, and it was a very big opponent for him to beat. So in terms of getting that W and building some positive momentum, I feel like, okay, that was solid, but I still feel like this match should have been more of an enhancement match, and Colby should have probably been fighting somebody like Zion or Magic Jake Dumas or somebody who is less of a threat. Anyways, the match itself was very back and forth, very competitive. JAC got a lot of offense in. He looked good, and I would like to see more of him. The point I was going to make too is like the last time he was in the NWA was in 2024, and he had done most of this Japanese tour back in 2024. So in 2025, he has not been to Japan, and that was part of what I was researching, because Galli's like, hey, it's in Japan. I'm like, no, he wasn't. Oh, I guess he was 2 years ago. But anyways, it was a very interesting match. Colby got in his big moves, got a big power bomb off the ropes, and did his electric driver drop. I'm not sure what they call it, so forgiveness for not knowing it. But he struggled to get that move, and it could have ended really bad with the way he was falling down, JAC, during the finishing move. I did not like that. I was not thrilled with that. So overall, the match was interesting, but I don't think I would have booked this match as Colby's first match back after losing at the 10 pounds of gold at the Crockett Cup. I feel like this should have been another kind of a squash match for Colby. Jaden, what did you think about this one?
This is where DK saying things were sloppy. I thought this was a little sloppy for this match. Yeah. But also, if they were going to do this, I would have done it slightly differently. I would have done some storyline with this and say this was Colby Corino trying to prove that he can beat a stronger big man, that he could have beaten Latimer one-on-one, that he could have beaten Rhino one-on-one. He was one-on-one, but because of the match, that's why he wasn't the winner. So this match was to prove that he could wrestle a big man. It's kind of like when, before anybody fought the Giant in WCW, they beat up Roadblock. It was an extremely large man, and Roadblock would get his stuff in, and then all of a sudden they would come back, and Lex Luger would torture rack after dropping him twice, Roadblock, to prove that he could face the Giant.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I think this could have been. He could have been the guy, the show that this young, smaller guy can take on a big guy and come out victorious and weather that awesome offense and that strength and size advantage and come out victorious. So that I would have done that and made sure that the commentators focused on that and talked about that as a way to put over Corino bigger.
Okay. And then DK, what were your thoughts on it?
Again, sloppy. I thought it was a tad bit sloppy. I didn't care about it.
Okay.
And I don't feel like they did anything to make me care about it. And it was just like, it wasn't boring. It wasn't even bad, but it was sloppy. I didn't know why they were wrestling, and not that you need to know why every single time. There is sometimes it's implied, oh, this is going to be a squash match, and you're just trying to get the one guy over, whatever. And it's like, Danny Deals kept talking about how big, Jesse was and how big, how hard it was going to be for Corino and everything like that. So it was like Danny, in one way, was trying to tell the story that Jaden was talking about, but not in a strong enough way for it to really get across and get interesting. So, yeah, it didn't do anything for me.
Yeah. And I wanted it to, right? Because,
you always want them to.
I want Colby, obviously Colby's hurt. We don't know how soon he'll return to an NWA ring, but after Crockett Cup, after he lost that match, I didn't say, man, get that guy off my TV. I never want to see him again. I was like, this was a big step for him, but I think he would be better suited challenging for the national title or even the TV title and get some, progress that way. And so this was kind of a surprise to me. But like you said, I didn't love it either.
It also felt like he was being built for Beta Alanine guy. What's his name?
Carson Drake. Yeah, it certainly felt like that too. And they might have even edited that segment slightly because I remember reading the results for this, and it didn't play out the way I think they wanted it to. But that end of that match led directly to Drake and Stevens being in the ring together, which again is in stark contrast from the last time we saw these guys together, who, you have Aaron Stevens, who's the manager of Blunt Force Trauma and has solicited Carson Bartholomew Drake to be his manager, even foregoing a salary till Carson Drake makes his first $1 million contract. Something that's unheard of. The guy wants to work for free because that's how much he believes in Drake. But Carson told him no. And the last time we saw these guys, Carson said no. And then we get this segment where they're like, yeah, we're hanging out together. So much so that you got the Sinister Minister coming down and telling them that, Aaron Stevens is vile, disgusting. I love the guy, but there could only be one of us. And this is going to lead to a matchup between them, probably at Samhain. They didn't really explain what kind of match it was going to be. They didn't even really stipulate the match. I think Stevens even said that the BFT was in Dubai making money. So I'm sure we'll have news about a matchup for Samhain involving Drake and Stevens. But Isn't it so weird or bizarre to you guys that just last week he told him no? At least I think it was last week. DK, what did you think about this?
Well, first of all, surprised I watched it. So that goes to show that at least being in the ring makes it slightly more interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't make sense. I was like you. It was like, he said no. So why are they together?
Yeah.
But, you know, again, we try not to follow logic in Billy's booking. So often it just seems to be... It seems like he changes his mind, but still has all the old stuff get put out there. And then when it catches up to the real world and he's changed his mind to do something else, it's like, yeah, here's a loop for you. I dropped my head in shame when Sinister walked out.
Rightfully so.
The whole thing between him and Stevens was
cheesy.
Who cared? I mean, it was kind of like, yes, I was watching it, but I was no longer hearing it because it meant nothing to me. This is one of those, this isn't a Gary Hart, Skandar Akbar heel, manager feud. This is a Sinister Minister could disappear tomorrow and I would never care. As a character on the show.
Right. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, as a character on the show, if he disappeared tomorrow, I'd never care. Kind of like Austin Idol.
Sure.
And Stevens can be entertaining sometimes, but he's kind of reminding me a little bit of Nick Aldis in that he seems to be overexposed. He's like always there and always talking, and all his segments are long. This felt like the longest segment in the entire show.
And convoluted. Don't forget convoluted.
Very convoluted. And I didn't fully get any of it, and I wasn't happy with any of it. And so, I don't know. I really stopped paying attention once. The one thing I did notice is that they went to a break but didn't go to a break.
Yeah.
Did you notice that when Sinister Minister came out? They go, we got to go to a break. And then they just immediately returned. And it was like, are you guys not working with Ruku and figuring out where you're putting these things? Because you don't seem to line up when you go to break and when they go to break.
Yeah, they definitely need to do something about that. But nevertheless, do you have anything else you want to add, DK? Or can we get Jaden?
No, because I really don't. Well, I will add one thing. Okay. And that's when it comes to Drake himself. I'm wondering if they heard us when we said we don't like Carson Bartholomew Drake because we don't believe the character. And I'm wondering if they're trying to do something to evolve his character maybe into something that might be more appreciated. But they can't do that until he drops the laugh. I mean, I'm deadly serious.
I hear you.
As long as he has that laugh, it's going to be hard to take him seriously. And so, I don't know. Jaden, did you pay any attention to this?
I did. And here's what I'm thinking their idea was. And this is why having a good person, a television producer to produce this makes a difference. Because at one time, I know you're not going to believe me, but Sinister Minister was great on the mic. He could deliver a story, he could deliver a promo, he could deliver what he needed to do. He was entertaining. He was the devil, but he was entertaining, And I've seen many times when Aaron Stevens, Damian Sandow can do what he needs to do and be entertaining and cut a promo and be effective at it. But that's because they got people producing them. I think the idea was Billy's like, all right, these guys can talk. Send them out there and he sent them out there with no direction or like a real loose idea where he wanted it to go. And then it was up to them to decide where we're going to go. But neither of them talked it over with each other. They just kind of improvised. and made it up on the spot, because that's how it came across. It did come across as something that was thought out and planned and talked about. And yes, the good wrestler minds and the good people that can talk just off the cuff without anything behind it to just make it work, or at least a real low, a small thing. But these guys, I think it's time has shown that they need to be produced to be good. They can be good, but they need to be produced. And I think that's what this segment showed me.
That takes us to another promo in the back between Murdoch and Mike Knox. We haven't, we haven't heard their take since they beaten, battered, and bruised Smalls a few weeks ago, and it's just like we did this. It's like deja vu all over again. I don't know why we're having a match, and this time they're going to tie Mike Knox up in the back or tie him to the ring. I don't know. Knox is like, I could starve to death. And it's like, what are we doing here? This is just ridiculous. But apparently next week, Smalls will face Murdoch, and Knox will be tied up somewhere. So, yay. And then it goes from bad to worse because we're back in it didn't even look like the video game store. I don't know where we were, but you have Mel talking to Tiffany Nieves. Now, why do we even know who Mel is? Like, this is, again, he's not a wrestler. He's not a character that'll be in the match. He's just there. He just shows up. And it's stupid. It's ignorant because he was in Alabama as a comic book store clerk, and then now he is in Florida as a video games clerk. And somehow, some way, he is in Tiffany Nieves' head. And Tiffany Nieves is talking about her relationship with this conflict resolution coach named Vic, who's too positive all the time. Like, again, this is the kind of shit that gets me, like, why are we watching this? NWA, you just spent 5 minutes earlier talking about some estate that's so far gone nowhere. And then we've got Mel coaching up wrestlers who, I mean, if you didn't know, he actually did train to be a wrestler. That's Billy, the different Billy. Billy trained to be a pro wrestler, but obviously there's not a lot of companies hiring wrestlers who are in that size and stature. So he learned to become a producer under Dave Marquez. He was a director. He literally is the director of the show. At least he was up until recently. I don't know if he still is. I don't need him on my camera. I don't need this storyline. It's stupid. It's garbage. It's bullshit. Jade, what else do you want to add to this?
To quote Sabrina Carpenter, it's stupid, and it's slow, and it's useless. There's got to be a better word for it. I know, is garbage. It's absolutely garbage. It's the drizzling shits. I'm glad I didn't. I problem is with the NWA on the phone, on Roku on the phone, it's real hard to fast forward to get where you want to go. So you kind of tap and it goes it goes like a few minutes too far. So then you tap and it goes back. And I kept seeing this as I kept trying to get to the next segment. I kept going back to, and I was like, I was tortured. I just like want to go away. And I'll say it again. Billy Corgan's mad at CW for not getting a show on CW and the NWA on CW. So he's trying to create his own CW like Riverdale, but instead he's making it with the same production quality and the same writing as Glow from the 1980s.
That's I think that's about as good as it's gonna get. We'll just move on.
And he doesn't have Cheryl Blossom, and that was the only reason I think Riverdale had any success as Cheryl Blossom.
And Luke Perry.
No.
That takes us to we're introduced to a new character, a new person, a Dragon Nia, who a little bit of research. He is from Puerto Rico. He is the Dragon, and he's challenging Tom Latimer for a world title match. I know the guy is pretty big. We do end up knowing the result of this, obviously. He also made an appearance at the 77th anniversary show, so apparently this guy's going to be around for a while. I don't know what capacity. I don't know exactly how he's going to be used, but that match is set up for next week, Tom. And I think it's the last match from Tampa before we get to 77. So we still have a Tom Latimer title defense that will be next week. We know that we're going to see Smalls in a match against Trevor Murdoch next week. And God, I hope they put some decent wrestling on between now and then. That brings us to the women's world title match. And we get babyface Kenzie Page, which I know Jaden had mentioned earlier. Like, it seems like there should be a Bible out there in the NWA about how the commentators and how they're supposed to treat the wrestlers. Now, I get it. Danny Deals has always been partial to the Page sisters. That's fine. I'm okay with that. All good heels do. But the fans in attendance were cheering for Kenzie, which is weird. And especially the dichotomy from being at the anniversary show where excuse me, not the anniversary show, but the Crockett Cup where she was booed tremendously. Of course, that match didn't air on Power, but nevertheless, she was the heel then. She's been a heel most other places, but for whatever reason, Tampa loves Kenzie Page, and she took on Carissa Rivera. We were talking about Carissa earlier in the show, and we had Markova on commentary. That's not something we have had a lot of in the past, so that was kind of interesting. At least we didn't have Billy on commentary. It was something different. And Markova seemed to be digging both these ladies, and she was really into the match. Now, Rivera has worked, what we mentioned, she worked for the WWE as Elektra Lopez. And she was a part of the WWE going back all the way to 2021. And I felt like this was a really good match. Again, I feel like the ladies brought it this week. I'm okay that this match was more competitive because it was a women's world title match. Again, I just feel like, why are we giving title matches to outsiders who they don't have that reputation? It's one thing if Matt Cardona comes in and challenges for the world title, or if Shotzi Blackheart comes in. We saw her on TV every week. If you watch WWE, Shotzi was a regular on SmackDown and Raw, challenging for like the secondary titles. It was kind of a big deal. No disrespect to Carissa, but she's not someone that's been around a lot. So I didn't love the fact that she got a title match, but it was a very competitive match. And as Jane mentioned earlier, Carissa Rivera looked really good in the ring. And I would like to see more of her in the NWA. DK, I'd love to hear what you thought about this match.
Would you really?
Okay. I would like to hear what you thought about this match.
All right. No, it was good for what it was. It was the best show on the card show tonight. It was a shame it didn't have more time. This would have been a nice match to, given 10, 15 minutes to, and made it actually, let them have first, second, and third gear and everything like that. And was a tad bit abrupt. And so, sorry, dog's barking outside.
Okay.
And just trying to figure out what. But yeah, I mean, it was good. And like I said, I know I told you, I don't know if I've said it on here yet, but I recognized her when she came out. I had to look up her, look up who she was after they said about her being everything, because Bill was there going, I recognize her. I've seen her before. I'm pretty sure she's from WWE or whatever, or Net T. And then they said that she was, and then I looked her up, and yeah, I remember her and everything. And so that's when I asked the question: is what are the, who's somebody that comes in deserves a title match just based on name, i.e., Cody Rhodes, and who's somebody that deserves a chance to be built towards a title match just on name? And I probably would put her in the second category. She's recognizable. People followed NXT. They probably knew who she was. And so I would say at least some of the people watching on even Roku know who she, recognized her and stuff like that. But it would have been nice to give them a little bit of build. I actually would be more interested in seeing her and Markova face each other.
Yeah.
I think they have styles that might match up. So we'll see. I don't know. Jaden?
This is why the NWA needs a Bible. We'll start off. Kenzie Page is supposed to be the heel. She's always the heel. She's supposed to be the heel against Markova. Markova's supposed to be the babyface. All of a sudden, Chris Rivera comes out acting like a heel. He came out first and acting like a heel. So automatically, whether the fans were going to or not, they're more likely to cheer Kenzie Page, because if you send your heel out first, which is traditional, and she acts like a heel, you think the next person come out as the babyface. Unless you're a mark promoter who thinks the names are always last, you usually put your heel first and then your babyface. So that way the babyface, the fans have a reason to cheer the babyface that get that big pop. It builds them up to that. So they're automatically conditioning those fans to like Markova, whether they were going to, not Markova, Kenzie Page, whether they were going to or not. Second, she's supposed to be a heel, so Carissa should have been a babyface. She should have went out, slapped hands. You got the name coming out second. That's a TV thing sometimes, I know. She should have been the babyface. So then when Kenzie comes out with the robe, acting arrogant to build up against the match, the match is going to be Markova and Kenzie. Even then, it was the way it was obvious that that's how it was being built up for the NWA. So the heel Kenzie should come out and be dastardly and be a bitch and act like that. But no, she came out and not only cheered like a babyface, but acted like a babyface. So that pissed me off to begin with. Second of all, the commentary was the worst of the night, and Billy wasn't there. So that should tell you something.
You weren't happy with Markova on the mic?
It wasn't just Markova. It was Danny Deals. Danny Deals, I understand. Look, he's a fan of Kenzie. They go back, whatever. He is supposed to, if she is acting like a babyface, then he should treat her as a babyface because he's the heel commentator.
Yeah.
If she's supposed to be the heel, then he's supposed to put her over as a heel. But it was neither. He was a heel fawning over the babyface and not putting over as that. And the match itself didn't make sense on that aspect either. If the object is to build between Kenzie and Markova, then that's how it should be done, because Markova is supposed to be the babyface. So we'll start with that. Second, Markova was kind of putting over everybody, but not really. She was like, "Oh, I don't know much about this girl, but she's good." Well, how the fuck are you supposed to know she's good if you don't know anything about her? And if she's a challenger and she's somebody who's out there, if a woman wrestler in the company who's sitting there who is trying to be like the big star of the company, and there is this person who's getting a title shot and you don't know who she is, then why should we care who she is? It automatically makes it so. It just made it all about. She just neutered the match, made it less important in that commentary, and she just.
When the idea was that we should know who she was.
Yeah.
I mean that's the concept of bringing in an NXT lady. We should know who she is.
It doesn't matter if everybody in the country knew who she was.
Right.
Bill Watts brought in a bunch of big stars.
Markova should be putting over that. Yeah, we know her. We've seen her. She's come where the competition's real.
Yeah, and exactly. Bill Watts would still put over Ric Flair and tell everybody who Ric Flair was. And same thing for Harley Race. Even though you knew who they were, and you should have known who they were, he still made sure the commentators and himself told you who this person was and why they're here and why they're great. You don't assume that everybody sees that. I mean, yes, Carissa's worked for NXT. She's worked for WWE. She's even worked for AEW. I think she might even did some Ring of Honor stuff. I don't remember. But it doesn't matter. You have to assume nobody knows who that is, and you have to explain who, what, when, where, why, and how. It's just like being a reporter. As a commentator, your job, and as the promoter, your job is to tell these people why they are in the ring, why they deserve to be in the ring, who they are, what they do, and everything about them. It doesn't matter if it's Hulk Hogan or Larry Johnson. You
Larry
know,
Johnson.
it doesn't matter. You're it's your job to not to assume that nobody knows. It's just storytelling. It's it's annoying in TV shows when they go out there and they put all that expletive. What's the word I'm looking for? Exposition out there. But as a commentator, is something you're supposed to do. You're supposed to put over this wrestler as somebody worth seeing. Because you know why? Because we're spending TV time trying to see them. And the match was good. I actually enjoyed the match. A little sloppy at times, but I enjoyed the match. But the commentary neutered this match. Markova neutered Carissa and didn't really put over she tried to put everything over. She just wasn't she did not have the ability to put everything over like they need to. Either that or she wasn't given direction on how to do it. And then Deals just completely did everything. It just made this match seem like not important, like a joke, and like, why the hell should I care? It did not do what it needed to do, and it's a shame because it could have. I was excited. The whole reason I was watching this show was because I wanted to see Carissa versus Kenzie. And I enjoyed the match in a bubble, but anybody looking to try to promote, it was counterproductive. I keep saying this, I'll scream it to the GD hilltop. The reason everything that's on television, the only thing that should ever make television is if it's there to promote the product and to build the product and to make money. If it doesn't make money, it doesn't make sense. And they took something that could have been made money and they made it worth pocket change instead. Do you understand now why I was annoyed by it? And this is where again, just keep consistency, damn it.
You're funny.
It just needs freaking consistency. It's how you make money.
I mean, I think we'd all be ignorant to think that all of a sudden Billy's going to change how he's doing things, right? But you're right. The match was good. I liked the match, and I won't make any apologies about that. However, the commentary, it did feel a little clustered. And again, Markova, I've never heard her on the mic before, not as a commentator. And you're right. I think that they could have probably given her some talking points. And I agree that her not knowing who the challenger was kind of deflates that as well. And I will also acquiesce that maybe if Kenzie's going to come out, if Carissa's going to come out first and she's going to come out as a heel, maybe they should have talked that over too. She should have been the baby face coming out, clapping hands and smacking babies. Instead, we get what we got, and it did feel it felt a little off. You're right. The match itself, I think, was still really good, and I don't make any apologies about that. But I agree with you, Jaden. I think there was something definitely missing, and I think you just figured it out.
They could have made the match important. They could have made the win important. They could have made Markova talk about how great this match was, and that she looks forward to facing the winner, and make it so that we care about both, and that maybe there's a little bit of doubt that there's going to be a winner, the slightest little bit. And then she should have came in afterwards and just did a confrontation with Kenzie, and Kenzie should have slapped her. But Kenzie should have been the heel, and Markova should have been the babyface, and Carissa should have been the babyface.
I agree.
But, this is one of those things, and we've had a former guest on here who stated Billy likes the people to get over without him making them heel or face. And he also, but on the other hand, he loves to book heel versus heel people. Look at earlier in the show with Sinister Minister and Aaron Stevens. I mean, it's not like they were arguing over, the guy in the black suit. I don't really know why Sinister Minister need to come down and say the place isn't big enough for both of them.
Yeah, that seemed a little off too.
And so, but again, it's a heel versus heel. I don't care who wins.
Yeah.
You know how rare heel versus heel was, that when it actually happened in the old days, it was something special. When the Freebirds took on Devastation Incorporated, it was something special. When Kamala was walking down the ring and King Kong Bunny was walking back from the ring and they had a little stare off, it felt like something. They didn't do anything with it, but it felt like something.
Yeah.
Well, that's completely left, but yes.
Yeah. This whole it doesn't have anything. It doesn't feel important. And that's one of the problems the NWA has. NWA. God damn. NWA has is they don't know how to take something and make it feel important. And when they're gifted at it, they don't even show it on TV.
That's fair. I mean, I can't argue with you. You're not making any bad points here. There's nothing to argue. They could have done this differently. The match itself was good. And if, like you said, if you put that in a bubble, it was a good match. But you know how I can't justify why they did anything that they did.
And then speaking of not justify, let's go to that next couple segments and the next rest of the show.
All right. So that brings us to the tag team match of Team Crossfire versus the Country Gentlemen. What a rough watch, huh?
I would rather watch Dave Dahl.
Oh. Oh man, that's not a good. Okay. All right. So what can I say? I love AJ Kazana. I'm a huge AJ Kazana fan. He's my favorite part of the Kazana family, and we've had Joe on here. Joe's a great guy. Joe and AJ have both put over KC. I just don't see it yet. I'm not invested in him yet. He's still young. There's still time for things to change. But this match was. I don't understand why we have territories feuding. I don't understand why that's a storyline for the NWA. You know, the idea is Joe Kazana is the president of the territory system. And I understand it's a heel position, but, you know, if we're going to do that, then have him do things that will favor Joe Kazana Promotions. Like, hey, Mims, guess what? You're going to be in Clarksville this weekend defending the title against AJ. Okay. Hey, Brian Idol, you're going to be out here. You're going to be defending against KC. Hey, I'm going to bring in all members of the Southern Six, and they're going to defend the tag titles against Country Gentlemen. They could have done stuff like that to make it, you know, to show that he's a heel. But having a territory versus a territory just makes the NWA seem divided. And I understand that you have power, and that's the only thing that William Patrick Corgan cares about, because all these territories are kind of doing their own thing anyways. And it's not like, you know, in the Bob Trowbridge era and even in the Bruce Tharpe era, the recommendation of having title matches on these cards, I mean, we're not even getting that. When was it the last time Tom Latimer defended at a territory show? Not the Grilled Cheese Festival, not the Riot Fest, not the co-promoted events with CEP in New York. But when was the last time he went down to St. Louis and defended the 10 pounds of gold? When was the last time he went to Albuquerque and defended the 10 pounds of gold? And I don't feel like there's been any kind of reason for it to be a part of the territories. I'm not seeing where this makes any sense whatsoever. So these two territories who are trying to be the best version of the NWA are now at war with each other. The whole storyline has been goofy. All these stuff has been goofy. And we finally get a match between, you know, the personification of Joe Kazana, his two boys, AJ and KC. We get, you know, Tommy Henry teaming up with his daughter's boyfriend to represent Crossfire. And to say it was kind of ugly was an understatement. Tommy comes in, does some open hand slaps. And I understand maybe he's not a pro wrestler, but he didn't even look like he was competent enough to be in the ring at times. And he kept slapping the guys, which I get it. Like, you know, you can't do closed fists. It's pro wrestling. But, like, it was slapping the midsection. Like, that's going to stop someone from grabbing you and hitting you with the forearm or hitting you with the clothesline or body slamming you or suplexing you. It just felt very like he didn't know what he was doing, and he probably should have been in the ring. At one point, Hunter is looking to the audience like a child lost in the mall, can't find his parents. And Billy says, "Oh, he's looking over here. I'm the person that could do the least to help Tommy to help Hunter right now." And I thought you just said a mouthful, Billy. You're the goddamn owner of the company. You booked this match. You can't do anything about how awful it is. The match had a few spots that were kind of interesting. Hunter did some high flying stuff, and I'm a sucker for cruiserweight high flyers. I enjoyed that, but some of it was just kind of dumb. And I couldn't really get invested in this match. And before it even got too far, or maybe it did drag a little bit too in the ring, and then they fell outside the ring, and then the referee never called for the bell. It goes to the back. Scott Wheeler, the worst referee in the history of the NWA, is allowing the match to continue. And he keeps saying, "Bring it back to the ring, boys." Never once did he count. Then they start using chairs. Didn't ring for a disqualification. Still let the match just continue. Kylie freaking Page jumps on the back of AJ Kazana. He does nothing. Eventually he gets taken out. The fighting continues until the Country Gentlemen get the upper hand and start choking out both Tommy and Hunter. And it was a no contest, but this was just, I know the point of this is to lead to the 77. We're going to have Team Crossfire versus Team Joe Kazana Promotions. I just don't think we needed that then. We don't need it now. I don't think we've ever needed that. And I would like to hear what you have to say about that, Jaden.
Okay. I hated this. I think this took some of the shine away from AJ Kazana, who I'm a fan of.
Yeah.
I think I like Joe Kazana, and I like listening to him, and I like, a lot of his philosophy in wrestling. This made me less of a fan of Joe Kazana. I've never been a fan of Tommy Henry. Don't really know him. After finding out he's one of those hardcore, ultra-violent deathmatch guys, I like him even less now. Explains why he uses people that don't belong in the ring, like that abortion. No, I'm sorry, forgot. Can't say that word. That waste of human skin. That's the former Crossfire Women's Champion, and I won't even mention her name because I do not like her. Do not think she has anything positive in this business. But that explains why he likes her and all the garbage wrestlers and everything that are in that area, and why he's fans of them. So I don't want this on my TV. I'm sad that I watched it. It made me second guess want to watch Power next week. I probably won't now because it does not give me any reason to want to watch it. I definitely don't want to know what happened in their match on the 77th, even though I already know the result. And this does just the opposite. If your object is to get somebody to care about the NWA, this does just the opposite. This is embarrassing. This is a travesty. This is a waste of time. This is a waste of space. This is a waste of oxygen. They should be apologizing to trees right now for using up the oxygen that they made. That is just the worst thing I've ever seen. And I like the Country Gentlemen. I'd rather see them in a real tag team match and not this. They should have cut this match altogether and then extended out maybe the match between Carissa and Kenzie and made that actually work out right. And that should have been the main event, being a championship match. Why? I don't want this in my life. I don't want stop the earth. I'm getting off. I don't want to be here anymore. Anything else I can think of that's something funny about how I just do not like this, I'm saying it. DK?
Well, Jaden seems a bit conflicted by this match. I, on the other hand, am not. Now, I noted at the beginning of the show that I found the matches to be sloppy. And there was some sloppiness in all of them. I'm not sure there was anything that wasn't sloppy in this one. Now, I will say, once again, Hunter makes me sad. It has not changed. He still makes me sad. Tommy Henry Makes me sad.
I say nauseous.
There was some of that, but I thought it might have been something I ate. This match made me pissed. There was no reason for it. Another heel versus heel.
Yeah.
There was nobody to cheer for. Didn't care who won. Didn't want anybody to win. And I guess we got our wish on that since nobody won. As the worst referee, the only person that's worse is the skeleton ghost, whatever, in AEW. And you have to listen to Jim Cornette to get that one.
Okay.
And and here's the sad thing. Do you know what I said last week? I said I don't even remember the outcome of the match between the territory things. And maybe you guys told me what it was, maybe you didn't. But I can tell you again this week, I do not know what the outcome of the territory match was at 77. However many times I've heard it, read it, looked around for it, the thing I can promise you is that it has never meant enough to me for me to remember. I don't forget on purpose. It's not, I just honestly have no memory of it. I can tell you about every other match on the card. But that's how lack of interest. And again, come on, people, what's a main event?
Not that.
Well, but exactly. We'll get people to go, oh, well, especially in WWE, well, this needs to go in the main event slot. Or that was in the main event slot because it was the last match or whatever. It's like, let me tell you what the main event is. The main event is the reason most people paid money to get there. If you told me that this match was on a card, I almost wouldn't matter what the other matches were. I would not want to buy a ticket to the event just to avoid seeing this.
Yeah.
I mean, that's if it was like a early match, an extra match special for the people who, got there at 6:30 and the show doesn't start to 7, so they put it on at 6:45 or whatever, I would walk out of the building. I would say, I don't even need a refund. Just, I can't do this. It is everything that is wrong with wrestling, except for the lack of thumbtacks. If they had put thumbtacks in there, it would have been everything that's wrong with wrestling. I don't know. I can't see how anybody thought, not even Billy. I don't know how Billy can look at this and said, oh, this is what we really need to do. And
where'd you go, DK?
Did you put yourself on mute, DK?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you broke up for a minute.
All right. What was the last thing you heard?
That you didn't know why that they would do this, and I don't know. Just say your last two sentences.
Well,
again.
my thing was, I said I don't know why Billy would think that this was good, and I don't know why two promoters would agree to do something like this.
Yeah.
Many years ago, WCW, to try to get a crowd in Chicago, put a pre-show match before a pay-per-view of Danny Bonaducci versus Christopher Knight. I will say, go out of your way to go look that up on YouTube because it was a billion times better than this match with at least two professional wrestlers and a hunter in it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the other part, too. Like, again, and we got to hold people accountable. I love AJ Kazana, but, you agreed to do this. Like, you put yourself in this position. And both Tommy and Joe have been promoting wrestling for a couple of years now where they know what's good and what's not good. And we know what's going to work and not work. You got to be able to tell your boss, hey, man, I don't think this is the best idea for this angle. I don't think this is the best idea for what we're trying to accomplish here. So anyways, that was Power. And as I like to do each and every week, I watch it at your own expense. For the most part, there was some good wrestling, but there was some bad segments, and the main event was atrocious. I have nothing positive to say about that. Go watch Carissa and Kenzie Page and put the volume down, and go watch Markova and Kelsey, and we can leave the volume up, I guess, on that one. Both of those were really good matches, and if that's the direction of the NWA's women division, I'm excited for it. And you know what? Go watch Colby and JAC. It wasn't again not the match I would have booked, but it wasn't awful, and there was some fun to it. So, with that being said, I think the last thing that we were planning to talk about, actually, we have a few things real quick. I do want to point out that our friends over at I'm going to put the flyer up real quick. Pure Vanguard Wrestling are holding an event. I think it's tomorrow night. Let me look at the date real quick. Saturday night. Okay, Saturday night this weekend at the in Bristol, Connecticut at the Boys and Girls Club. Our good friend Wrecking Ball Logursky will be on the card, and this event will be called by our co-host Rick Del Santo, who he took the night off to rest his voice so that he'll be prepared for this Saturday night. It's going to be a great card. Not only do you have Wrecking Ball Logursky, but you have the Crocodile King, Alan Compass, taking on the Beast, Bull Dread, in a Break the Chains championship match. It's a Vanguard Ranch bull rope match. I want to make sure that we celebrate Pure Vanguard Wrestling because they're good to our boy Rick. And if they're good to our boy Rick.
Can you put the poster back up again?
Yes, sir.
I want to say I've seen Ken Powers in Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. He is also somebody to keep an eye out for.
Okay.
And Bradley Belmont and Wade Kruger, they're the stepdads. It is a kind of a goopy style gimmick, similar in the vein of the Slime Balls, but they're good at it and they're good wrestlers and they are entertaining. So I will also talk about them. You may see them in Dog someday. So I will say that's somebody also to keep an eye out for. And of course, Wrecking Ball Logursky, the fans love him. He gets the crowd going everywhere, whether it's at a Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators event or a Pure Vanguard Wrestling event. Keep an eye on him because he's a lot better outside the NWA than the NWA lets him be.
That's sad. But we've seen it. We've seen his matches in Dog, so we know that that's accurate. So I did want to post that, and because I told Rick that we would talk about that, and I guess that leads us to DK had brought up the topic about I don't know if you guys heard this recently, but AEW, the event in Texas, it didn't do as well as they were anticipating. And DK, I'm going to go ahead and let you take over on this one. What happened, and why is that significant to pro wrestling?
What?
The AEW's bombing in Texas.
Oh, all right. For those who don't know, part of this whole AEW All In Texas stuff was it was supposed to be really big, and they were actually going to be getting reimbursed for some of their expenses. Originally, they were slated to receive $1 million, and it's from a Texas Event Trust Fund. Is the name of the agency that basically the government helps reimburse places for their expenses based on how well they draw, what they do, and basically the amount of economic activity that was around it. So, as we remember, when this whole thing started, Tony Khan was going to set a record in the building. And then he changed it to set a wrestling record for the building, which wouldn't be hard because there had never been wrestling in the building before. So if he had gotten two people to show up, he would have a record. And at various times, he was supposed to have a setup was anywhere between 18,000 and 23,000 was the supposed setup. Then all of a sudden, the day of the event, they announced that they had 29,000 people there, or attendance was 29,000 or something crazy like that. And they, I guess the original projections were 32,500 fans. That's what they sold Texas to get the reimbursement. And then they were setting up all sorts of different amounts. Finally, they set it up for 23. Then they announced that they had like 29,000. And then even WrestleTick said it was over 27,000, which was really weird since they weren't set up for that. And then it came time for reimbursement. Well, reimbursements don't go based on what the place claims they draw. They go by turnstile count and tickets that were sold. And that number was only 21,973. So the reimbursement dropped from $1 million to $700,000. Nothing to sneeze at, but still not close to what they're at. And it shows that even WrestleTech, I don't know where they get their numbers from, but they're not even always accurate and might be on the high side, because 27 is quite a bit different than 21. And I guess when everything was said and done, when you count everybody that was in the building, which is staff and workers and production workers and people from the city and people from the Rangers and all that good stuff, they were just under 24,000. So I think it's just important to remember, don't trust the numbers that are out there. We know WWE has inflated theirs for years. And NWA claimed 900 at their last event. It wasn't 900 at the last event. And according to WrestleTix, they're currently only at 242 for the NWA event in Atlanta, with a current setup of 772.
That's rough.
And again, if we've noticed anything, if they've been wrong, they've been on the high side. Again, tickets distributed do not equal tickets sold.
You still there, DK?
With you.
Okay.
Okay. If they say, I can bring a person with you that.
DK, I think you need a new microphone.
Claim or distributed, been about 200 sold.
Okay. Your mic keeps cutting out or something. So
it appears to be my internet. I don't know why. Every now and again it drags. I got one of the highest, fastest, whatever you call it, thingamabobs.
Do you have cable internet or Fios?
It's through ATT.
What's AT&T then? Satellite?
Fiber.
It might be your Ethernet cables then. You're supposed to update your Ethernet cables because there's a liquid crystal inside, and by stretching your Ethernet cable, it actually breaks it. Oh, wait, no, that's HDMI. Never mind, that's HDMI. I'm thinking of that. But you do wear off your Ethernet cables too. So you should replace your Ethernet cables every 10 years. Just heads up.
Well, I'll try that.
By the way, shout out to Elite Gamer Joey. He's the only one watching on TikTok right now. So thanks for watching, Joey.
Thank you, Joey.
Joey does a pretty fun TikTok if you guys are ever bored, and he's on there and he'll start playing like old games. So like I've seen him play like some of the older Pokemon and some of the older WWE games. So if you're into watching people play video games, go check out my guy Elite Gamer Joey. That's for sure. I think that's going to do it for us. I don't know what else there is to talk about. And to be quite honest, I have to use the bathroom pretty bad. So I kind of want to wrap it up here. Do you guys have anything you would like to add before we call it a night? Is there anything else on the show you'd like to talk about?
I have nothing.
I just let you know that Dangerous John Wrestling Gladiators, I just was alerted today or yesterday, I don't even know, that Dog will be back at Rowan University, and we know our date, but it won't be announced yet.
Okay,
and that they're working on a, not only did they did such a great job at Rowan College of Brownton County, that they're interested in having Dog back in the spring, and that there's a Catholic school that's also interested, which, me in a Catholic school is going to be kind of scary.
You should probably take the night off.
I didn't walk into the Sacred Heart Church, so I guess it could happen. I didn't dissolve into air.
Well, that's good. Go ahead.
See, nobody threw holy water on me.
If you guys didn't get a chance to, I did do a great interview, and I say that, pat myself on the back there. Did an interview with our old friend Tim Dixon from the old NWA Charlotte territory back in the day. He's working with Wrestling Evolution down in North Carolina, and they are doing some pretty interesting stuff. I implore you all to check out Wrestling Evolution. But more so than that, check out the interview I did with him. We talked about some good times, some good old times. We talked about what Wrestling Evolution is doing. And it was one of my favorite interviews I did all year because it's been about 15 years since I talked to Tim. So it was good to kind of get in there and speak to him. Matthew Underwood, you showed up just for us to say goodbye to you, but hello and goodbye. And that's going to do it for us. So we'll be back next week as we get ever so close to the 77th anniversary show. Wish it was this week. And of course, we'll also be doing the other Alliance Guys, which takes place on Mondays at 5:30 on the West Coast. No, excuse me, 3:30 on the West Coast, 6:30 on the East Coast. The pre-party, which is 5 p.m. on the East Coast, 2 p.m. on the West Coast, and we'll be back next Thursday with the other Alliance Guys. The Alliance Guys, the original Alliance Guys. I'm tired, man. I got to call it a night. Until then, we'll see you at...
Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.